What's up, CDL fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to do a little updated roster mania video since we have a couple of confirmed rosters and some more rumors. So I definitely want to go through this real quick and kind of give a little update to the graphics so we can sort of get a picture for what the season might look like next year. If you do enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, and I can't do that without your support. So with that being said, let's hop right over to the graphic. As you can see here on the screen, we have the roster mania graphic. Let me hide my camera real quick. Boom, you can see we have Optic and ROKKR is what was being covered. Obviously, we have the ROKKR team actually confirmed now, so it will be attached on the main AR, Cammy on the flex, Afro and Bance as the SMGs. Like I said in my last video talking about this roster, I personally really like this. I think this is a top 5 team on paper. I do think they look really good. You know, you kind of have a mixture of everything, right? You have Attach, who was great on the main AR last year when you switched over. You have very talented Flex and Cammy. You have a great slaying SMG player who can really take over maps in Afro, and then you obviously have your leader and route man in Bance. I think this is a really good combination of players that can perform very, very well, you know, if they live up to their potential, and can end up being, you know, a top 3, top 4 team at points during the season. But let me bring my camera back on. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be the LAG roster, which also was confirmed, as you can see down here in the bottom corner. We already have them in there from the last video because this was pretty much the leak, you know, rumor. Overall, I think this team can be good, right? I think if they live up to their potential, they can be a good team. As we know, you know, Neptune, Hook, Spark, these guys are grinders. They really do put in the work and, you know, play a lot of wagers, play a lot of 8s, those sorts of things, and they try to improve themselves day in, day out. And then bringing in arcitys as your leader is awesome. Obviously, Spark and arcitys are on 3-year deals, which could be very good for this LAG roster going forward. I think if this team lives up to its potential, this team could be a top 6 team in the league. I think on paper right now, we're looking at more of a top 8 type scenario, depending on how other rosters play out, maybe even like a top 10. I think this team is good and it can be very good, but I think it has a low floor and also a high ceiling. I think it's sort of, it can really fall anywhere between, you know, probably top 4 to top 10, top 12. So I think there's a very big variance in how this team can end up performing. Now to talk about another confirmed thing we have, Boston is officially bringing back Methodz, officially, like for sure. They said this yesterday on Twitter. Methodz is coming back. So that really leaves the flex spot for them open. Obviously the rumors are Big Wake, so I am going to keep him slotted in there like we already had. And I think this team could be very good. You know, I think Methodz is a strong main AR. I think you got an interesting duo up front. You know, it's going to come down to sort of how fast-paced MW2 plays compared to, you know, how Vanguard played, and if this duo can really keep the slaying up, because obviously we know they're going to keep the engagements up, but if they can't really slay out, it's going to really be, you know, kind of on Big Wake to get a lot of kills, which, you know, could end up hurting this team in the long run. So Boston's still probably a middle of the pack type team in my opinion, but I think similarly to LAG, they can have a very high floor but also a low ceiling. Slasher to Atlanta FaZe is looking more and more likely. I do think this team can be a top 2 team in the league for sure, but I also could see them falling. I could see them end up being maybe top 4, top 5. It really depends on how well they mesh with Slasher, and also how, you know, they mesh in terms of just the overall you know, gameplay of MW2. At the end of the day, you still have 3 of the most talented players in the entire league, obviously in Sibabeezy and Celium. So this team should end up being really good, but I personally think it's a downgrade from arcitys, but we will see how Slasher performs. I think an interesting roster to talk about is this London Royal Ravens team down in the bottom right. Obviously, you know, the rumors are that it's going to be Zero and Paul X sort of as the AR and the flex, and then who they bring in as their SMGs, no one's really sure. There's been, you know, rumors about Wardy and Beans, but I believe Beans is more of like a flex or like an AR type player. So this would kind of have like a 3 AR sort of meta, which means that Paul X or Beans would have to run an SMG, which, you know, we're not really sure how it's going to go. I think maybe a realistic scenario is maybe they keep Nasty and they bring in Wardy as kind of like an SMG duo, which could be interesting. But Nasty and Gizmo were also linked to Florida. That team that was linked with Florida actually had Dave Patty come out of the roster, and it had end up being Nasty, Vickle, if I can slide these guys in there properly, Gizmo, and Major Maniac, which is, you know, who knows what this roster could end up doing if this is kind of what Florida ends up going with. It's very interesting. I think, you know, I think it makes sense for Florida to kind of take a chance on some challengers players like Vickle, because they really need to spice it up. It doesn't seem like Florida has a very, you know, has a very good pot to pick from, and it doesn't seem like maybe they want to spend that much money. So if this is the roster they end up going with, this team's definitely a bottom of the pack type team, but could have high upside if, let's say, Gizmo starts performing well on LAN, if Major Maniac can hit a little bit of more consistent form and respawns, and then if Vickle obviously plays well at the pro level. I think this team could be good, but obviously definitely not a top team. Paris Legion, I mean, your guess is just as good as mine. Maybe they bring in a guy like Clayster. I know Clayster's been linked to them, and a lot of people, a lot of pros are saying Clay is going to get on a team. So, you know, maybe they bring in a guy like Clay to pair alongside Temp. And then they're really looking for 2 SMGs. I mean, you got Havoc in here, you got Capital, you got Pristini, you got Tej who can run an SMG, you got Standy, you know, you got a bunch of challengers players, as well as you have Asim over here. I don't really know what, you know, could end up happening with this team. Maybe they bring in a guy like Asim and maybe a guy like Standy to kind of pair alongside each other. I think that could be interesting. But this team definitely, you know, for some reason I feel like this team's gonna end up being better than Florida, but we will have to wait and see. NYSL, they need to bring in a flex. Will it be Gunless? Will it be Priesta? You know, who really knows? Maybe it'll be Tej. No one's really sure exactly what's gonna happen with this team. I think the biggest things for me is a guy like Crim6 might not end up on a team. Same thing with someone like Priesta, someone like Gunless, someone like Havoc, even like, you know, Capital, who was a good rookie last year. These people might not end up on teams, and I think that's pretty crazy to see. I know Crim6 said on stream, I don't know if it was this morning or if it was yesterday, that his agent reached out to every single team and no one wants him. So that's kind of sad to see, you know, the GOAT of Call of Duty not ending up on a team. You know, maybe he could get a spot eventually or come in during the season, but he obviously didn't have the greatest year, but it is still weird to see a guy like him or a guy like Clay not on a team going into a new season. Thank you all so much for watching this quick video going through some of the new rosters. If you did enjoy it, drop a like and subscribe for more CDL content, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.